Welcome student in Christchurch Convent Digital Classes, subject Chemistry, class 12, chapter 5, part 2. In part 1 we have seen the example of adsorption and what is adsorption and desorption. In this video we will study about it further. So in adsorption, the substance is concentrated only at the surface and does not penetrate through the surface to the bulk of the adsorbent. तो जो एड्जॉर्बेट होता है वो एड्जॉर्बेंट की सिर्फ सरफेस पे रहता है, उसका डीप पेनिट्रेशन नहीं होता है. हमने एक एग्जांपल देखा था. फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ वी डिप्ड chalk in a indigo solution, then the indigo is remain only at the surface of the chalk and indigo does not penetrate inside of the chalk. If we break the chalk into two pieces, so in the joint of the chalk from where the chalk is broken, only we can see the presence of water and not the presence of indigo. Indigo will be only on the surface. So while in absorption, the substance is uniformly distributed throughout the bulk of the solid. For example, when a chalk stick is dipped in ink, the surface retains the color of the ink due to the adsorption of the colored molecules, while the solvent of the ink goes deeper into the stick due to the absorption. So water is absorbed and indigo is adsorbed. So you can clearly understand the difference between adsorption and absorption. So a distinction or the differentiation can be made between absorption and adsorption by taking the example of water vapor. Water vapor are absorbed by the anhydrous calcium chloride. Calcium chloride CaCl2 वाटर वेपर को एब्जॉर्ब कर लेता है एंड बिकम CaCl2.2H2O, but adsorbed at by silica gel. In other words, in adsorption, the concentration of the adsorbate increases only at the surface of the adsorbent, while in absorption, the concentration is uniform throughout the bulk of the solid. So both adsorption and absorption can take place simultaneously also. Adsorption और absorption एक साथ हो सकते हैं. The term sorption is used to describe both the process. If adsorption and absorption are taking place at the same time, then we can remove AD or AB in the spelling of adsorption or absorption, so we will get the term sorption. So if both processes are taking place, will simply termed as sorption. So adsorption happens or arises due to the fact that the surface particles of the adsorbent are not in the same environment as the particle inside the bulk. एड्जॉर्बेंट के जो सरफेस पे पाए जाने वाले पार्टिकल हैं वो उस एनवायरनमेंट में नहीं होते जिस एनवायरनमेंट में एड्जॉर्बेंट के अंदरूनी पार्टिकल होते हैं. इनसाइड द adsorbent, all the forces acting between the particle are mutually balanced. But on the surface of the particle are not surrounded by the atoms or molecules of their kind of all on all sides, and hence they have unbalanced or residual attractive forces. These forces of the adsorbent are responsible for attracting the adsorbate particle on its surface. तो सतहों पर पाए जाने वाले पार्टिकल उसी प्रकार के अन्य पार्टिकल के संपर्क में नहीं होते, लेकिन अंदर जो पार्टिकल होते हैं बल्क फेस के, वो अपने चारों तरफ सेम टाइप के पार्टिकल से घिरे होते हैं, इसलिए वो म्यूचुअली एक दूसरे को न्यूट्रलाइज कर देते हैं। पर जो सतह पर पाए जाने वाले पार्टिकल हैं उनका जो एनवायरनमेंट है वो अलग होता है, और इससे उनमें अनबैलेंस हो जाता है, और वो उस अनबैलेंस को काउंटरैक्ट करने के लिए दूसरे मॉलिक्यूल्स या केमिकल सब्सटेंस से रिएक्शन कर लेते हैं या उनको एड्जॉर्ब कर लेते हैं। The extent of adsorption increases with increased surface per unit mass of the adsorbent at a given temperature and pressure. Another important factor featuring adsorption is the heat of adsorption. Adsorption heat of adsorption पे भी डिपेंड करता है. During adsorption there is always a decrease in residual forces of the surface, that is there is a decrease in the surface energy which appears as heat. सरफेस एनर्जी में कमी होती है जो कि ऊष्मा के रूप में दिखाई पड़ती है, हीट के रूप में. एड्जॉर्प्शन देयरफॉर इज इनवेरिएबली एन एक्सोथर्मिक प्रोसेस. एड्जॉर्प्शन के कारण एक्सोथर्मिक प्रोसेस होती है, मीन्स हीट इज रिलीज्ड ड्यूरिंग दिस phenomena. In other words, delta H of adsorption is always negative. When a gas is adsorbed, the freedom of movement of its molecule become restricted. किसी क्लोज वेसल के अंदर जो गैस मॉलिक्यूल का मूवमेंट है वो रिस्ट्रिक्टेड हो जाएगा. इट इज़ ऑलमोस्ट नियरली टू द एड्जॉर्बेट. दिस अमाउंट इज डिक्रीज इन द एंट्रोपी ऑफ द गैस. एंट्रोपी मीन्स डिसऑर्डर इन एनी सिस्टम इज कॉल्ड एंट्रोपी ऑफ दैट सिस्टम. तो किसी सिस्टम में जितनी ज़्यादा अवस्था होंगी, जितना ज़्यादा फैलाव या बिखराव होगा, उसकी एंट्रोपी उतनी ही ज़्यादा होगी. सो एंट्रोपी इज़ द मेजरमेंट ऑफ डिस्टर्बेंस इन एनी सिस्टम. Delta S negative, entropy change is denoted by delta S. Del means change, S means change in entropy. So entropy is a thermodynamic term. We'll see about entropy in the upcoming chapters. Adsorption thus is accompanied by a decrease in enthalpy and as well as decrease in entropy of the system. For a spontaneous process, the thermodynamic requirement is that at constant temperature and pressure, the delta G must be negative. That is, there is a decrease in the Gibbs energy. On the basis of equation delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S. Delta G can be negative if delta H has sufficiently high negative value. S minus T delta S is positive. Thus, in an adsorption process which is spontaneous, a combination of these two factors makes delta G negative. Delta G means change in Gibbs energy. As the absorption proceed, delta H become less and less negative. Ultimately, delta H become equal to T delta S. So delta G become 0. This at this state equilibrium is attained. Means forward rate of reaction become equal to backward rate of reaction in case of chemical process. So delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S. This is a thermodynamic equation. We will see in this thermodynamic chapter. Now types of adsorption. There are mainly two types of adsorption of gases on solid. If accumulation of a gas on the surface of solid occurs on account of weak van der Waals forces, the adsorption is termed as physical adsorption or physisorption. When the gas molecule or atom are held to the solid surface by chemical bonds, the adsorption is termed chemical adsorption or chemisorption. So chemical bonds may be covalent, ionic, coordinate. So these are chemical bonds. The chemical bond may be covalent or ionic in nature. Chemisorption involves a high energy of activation and is therefore often referred as activated adsorption. Sometimes the these two processes occur simultaneously and it is not easy to ascertain the type of adsorption. कई बार एड्जॉर्प्शन का टाइप पता करना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है क्योंकि कई बार फिजियोसॉर्प्शन और केमिसॉर्प्शन दोनों एक साथ हो जाते हैं. So a physical adsorption at low temperature may pass into chemisorption as the temperature is increased. फिजिकल एड्जॉर्प्शन लो टेम्परेचर पर केमिसॉर्प्शन में बदल सकता है यदि टेम्परेचर को बढ़ा दिया जाए. फॉर एग्जांपल, डाइहाइड्रोजन इज फर्स्ट एड्जॉर्ब्ड ऑन निकेल बाय वैन डर वाल्स फोर्सेस. Molecules of hydrogen then dissociate to form hydrogen atoms which are held on the surface by chemisorption. So in this, both physical adsorption and chemical adsorption taking place. Now, some of the important properties of both type of adsorption are described as follows. We'll see one by one.